I'm Ryan Jones. I'm running to be Attorney General for the District of Columbia. I decided it was necessary in 2020 that we needed new solutions to cure age-old problems. I want to rewire the system to empower people. And from a position such as this, you can do that. You can work with council and the mayor to put new laws on the books, repeal laws, revise laws that guide our lives. You can go into courtrooms and get the action on behalf of the people, the residents, in order to have results and precedent that affect our lives as we watch Roe v. Wade go through its scrutiny and potentially be overturned. We understand the power of our courts.
Many native Washingtonians, people who build the city, we've gone from, the murder capital of the world to this, and now we feel that our elected officials don't listen to us. They don't care about anything that, D.C. residents have done or say. I mean, it seems like the only people this council works for and the mayor works for are developers, people in Northern Virginia and Montgomery County, but nobody from this,
Well, I'm from Washington, D.C. I grew up at 14th and Emerson, Northwest.
Yeah.
I want nothing more than to give back to the city, which has given me so much. I've become an attorney based on the education I've received here, GW Law alum. I have played basketball throughout the years, a Goodman League, former Rookie of the Year. And so I know DC intimately from every corner of the city. And I want nothing more than to improve it and make it work for everybody. I shouldn't be considered unique. I shouldn't be considered special. I think that people should have my experience and other people should have these experiences to have a high quality of life and reach whatever dream that they may have for themselves. This is what I chose for myself. Whatever anyone else wants to do, they should have the opportunity to achieve that.
I mean, people are saying, they call it by the term gentrification, which is loaded, but people are saying that the real term for what we've saw in the last 10 years in D.C. is urban removal. Removing native Washingtonians, seniors through taxation, property tax. And we have people like Bozzuto, which you happen to live here. We're in Martin Place here and Fort Todd.
Tell too many people that.
Yeah, but this is supposed to have 30% affordable housing. In fact, it's less than 10%. Any place near a metro, anywhere else who gets a tax credit has to be 20%. Will you be forcing these, like Bozzuto, it's owned by Kravitz, which is famous for redlining in Maryland. Will you be forcing people like Kravitz and the guys in Bozzuto to pay back what they got in tax incentives and fulfill their legal duties in affording affordable housing for the tax breaks and incentives they got from us, DC taxpayers?
The number one thing about being an attorney is you have to review the facts.
Yeah.
You have to identify the issues. And when you get an issue or a complaint, you go through the facts, you find the evidence to support it.
Yeah.
And if there's a case to be made, then the answer is yes.
Okay.
To take it from the complaint phase to damages to make sure that we have an effective case on our hands. That is something I would do. Now, I do talk about creating a wills clinic and a trust clinic.
Yeah.
Estate planning.
Yeah.
Estate planning is necessary to protect people during their life and after their lives to really stem the issues that you've identified for historic residents.
Yeah.
I talk about new residents versus historic residents. Because gentrification, people who've come in and revitalized properties have since turned them over. And people have come in and they think DC's ready based on the housing prices. Still, we have gun violence raging.
Yeah.
And people think that the only way to resolve it is kick the folks out.
Yeah.
And I disagree.
We have data that shows it's opposite. The housing instability causes the violence. The violence comes there, and the wealth disparity, because this is what the wealth disparity. These are mostly suburban transplants coming in, taking away from Washingtonians who want an IT job. And this is a big complaint that this council and the mayor has only looked at making these developments for job growth, but these don't create jobs. It's real companies that create jobs, like esports with Mark Ann and Ted Leonis. You got David Rubenstein. These guys do not create jobs.
You're right. And I'm agreeing. However, I look at it like this. If you put people who don't have anything next to people who have a lot, you get to see exactly what you don't have, and it creates a level of desperation and the desire to want to enjoy that same kind of life that you are so close to but can't actually access. And you take whatever means possible to get there because it's right in your visual, but however, you don't have the blueprint to get there. And so I think it's incumbent upon our mayor, our council, our other city leaders to map out a way for everyone to be successful. And that way you start to eliminate the despair that we experience that causes the violent crimes which you've identified.
And in Ward 5, here we are, we have 3 major cases which should have international attention, national attention. The putting for-profit nursing homes and developing Howard University Divinity School in its historical place, which was part of the mentor of Martin Luther King, Dr. King. We have the urban removal of residents from Brookland Manor on Rhode Island, which are getting kicked out for another millennial, luxury condos. And then the destruction of McMillan Park, the first integrated park in the country almost, right there, right in front of, where, Children's Hospital, which is endowed by the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, who recently did. And these are opportunities that were lost for these kinds of, nice but not historic areas.
Look, people say they're not mad at developers. I think we all like nice things. We all need to have viable, quality housing.
Yeah.
What's the balance? We have to strike a balance. We have to be putting good properties in place that people can be housed in that's quality. And we need to remove the properties that have become dilapidated as they have been cared for.
Okay.
But when we're putting these new properties up, we need to make inroads for people to get to ownership, enjoy some of the equity that you maybe had in these properties, and protect the interests of individuals. Now, we can look at a historical cycle.
Yeah.
And let's be honest with ourselves. Let's look at a historical cycle of what happens in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
You have people that come in and change the demographic, and then it cycles out. And in order to survive, people make a pivot. Leadership makes a pivot to incorporate funding to protect investments made many years prior, and then change the demographic. You can imagine this cycle may last a little longer than those that have occurred in the past. But I think we need to be making more provisions for people like me, people like my parents and my neighbors, family and friends.
But the ironic is it's billions of dollars of our tax money that these guys have taken and not given back. Wouldn't it be easier to just take the billions and put rent-to-owns and different kind of affordable housing from the money they owe us as resident taxpayers?
It's an interesting conundrum, and it takes creative people, working with people like you, to then lay out that plan. What does it look like? What's the balance? What does it have for the interest of the economic viability going forward? You got to understand that the economic viability of businesses and infrastructure moving forward is going to change, and I think we're all on the precipice of a shift in our workforce and who's going to be working. And we're talking, and we have other problems that are on our hands that we're not talking about.